This time on Normal Guy Games, let's paint some Necromunda tiles. So, I got some Necromunda tiles just recently. I already have one batch, but I decided to do something different this time. So what I did was I primed them in black, and then I took a gray, which was just like a Rust-Oleum, just a flat matte gray. So I used flat matte black and flat gray, and then I just took the gray and I kind of like spritzed the tile in a couple of places just to kind of get everything mostly covered in that gray, but with some black still showing. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking various shades of grays, and I am just dry brushing I'm trying to get mostly the ridges of the tiles, but every now and again I will get a couple of areas inside the middle just to kind of mix things up a little bit. And on this step, it's okay if you're fairly messy, because I mean, obviously the tiles are not going to be uniform. This is Necromunda. Everything's kind of going to be dirty and kind of grimy and all that, so there's going to be variations in color. So I'm now using a lighter gray, which is closer to white, and I'm just getting the raised areas with this one. Trying to just get the center ridges on all the tiles and the places where the columns sit. And I progressively work my way up to try and get the highest places, the ridges, to pop a little bit more before I go on to the next step. The next step is I am sponging on metallics. Now this takes a few minutes, but it's worth it to kind of differentiate between the centers of the tiles and the outer edges of the tiles. So I'll leave you with this, speed this up, and we'll go from here. So like I said, that step takes a while. Now I'm taking some green and some turquoise, and I am thinning it down with not only water, but also with medium. And I'm making this as thin as possible, very liquidy, and I'm just kind of brushing it on in a couple of different areas just to break up the gray on the tiles. Now this looks like it's it's going to stand out a lot. But once it dries, it will darken up. And you can also kind of, if you want, I didn't do this part, but you can also feather it out if you wish to kind of make it spread a little bit. But me, what I'm doing is I'm just going for a very, very wet brush and very thin paint, and I'm just kind of putting this in random areas. Now the turquoise works kind of like verdigris, and the green is, just sludge or whatnot. And this kind of just breaks up the metallics and the grays a little bit to make things look a little bit better. This step, obviously, is going to be sloppy and messy, but I mean, like I said, it's Necromunda. Now you don't have to go as heavy as I did with this. I just kind of slopped it on everywhere because I just wanted a good variation on the whole tile. And then, and I used some water on the brush to kind of make things spread out a little bit, and I kind of spread things, mixed it together and pulled it around on the different tiles as well, not just with paint, but like I said, with water also. Now here is the fun part. So I have some odorless mineral spirits, and I have some oil paints. Now I'm going to give the whole tile an oil wash, but so what I end up doing, I started with just regular brown. And keep in mind, this is very, very thin, and it's after the other colors have dried enough that they won't mix. So this is very thin. What I ended up doing later on is mixing a little bit of black in with the brown to kind of darken it up a little bit. But for this first step, I'm just using the brown, and I'm just washing it all over the tile, just making sure it gets everywhere. Now this, like I said, the mixture here is very, very thin, very thin. So you want it to spread around, you want it to kind of fan out, you want it to look kind of grimy, and it will do its job there, and it will it's got a very low surface tension, so it will spread very well. If it drips, leave it or spread it around. Just make sure you get it everywhere and make everything uniform. And then for the second step, I mixed a little bit of black in there and just went over it again. But it ended up looking pretty good. Honestly, I'm quite happy with how the tiles turned out in the end. And after this black, that actually is the final step. And I will, I'm just going to leave it here after that. So it turned out pretty good. If you like what you see, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and join me on Patreon. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it, guys.